The Galactic Calculation. The grand amphitheater of the Galactic Consortium fell silent as Arch-Surveyor Zillith approached the central podium. Thousands of representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations watched intently. The crystalline walls of the chamber reflected the ambient light in patterns that seemed to pulse with anticipation. Esteemed colleagues, Zillith's voice resonated through the chamber, his four arms gesturing in the formal pattern of important announcements. Our deep space reconnaissance has discovered an isolated world in Sector 37B, designation Earth. Initial scans indicate a Class A resource profile with abundant rare elements, liquid water, and a diverse biosphere. Holographic displays throughout the amphitheater flickered to life, showing images of Earth's blue oceans, green continents, and swirling white cloud formations. Data streams scrolled alongside, detailing atmospheric composition, mineral deposits, and biological diversity assessments. The dominant species appears to have achieved rudimentary spaceflight and digital technology, but remains confined to their planetary system, continued Zillith, manipulating the display to show human cities, vehicles, and satellites. Their military capabilities are negligible by consortium standards. They have yet to discover quantum communications or gravitational field manipulation. Grand Minister Xorix of the Vesperian Dominion rose from her seat, her bioluminescent patterns flashing with interest. What classification do you propose for this world, Arch-Surveyor? Based on established protocols, Earth qualifies as a Category 4 resource world. The indigenous species shows potential for labor utilization, but lacks the technological advancement to join the consortium as equals. The words hung in the air. Everyone present understood what this meant. Category 4 worlds were systematically harvested for resources, their native populations subjugated and utilized for labor or scientific study. It was the way of the galaxy. The strong prospered, the weak served. I call for a formal vote, announced High Commander Drax of the Keldorian fleet, his scaled skin gleaming under the chamber lights. All in favor of designating Earth as a Category 4 resource world with immediate acquisition protocols. One by one, the representatives signaled their approval. Not a single objection was raised. Earth's fate was decided in less than 3 minutes by species who had never set foot on its soil. Excellent, Drax rumbled. The acquisition fleet will depart within one standard cycle. Preliminary colonization units will establish control zones at strategic locations. Resource extraction can begin once the indigenous population has been properly processed. 3 weeks later, the consortium's acquisition fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 97 warships from 17 different species formed a silent armada of overwhelming technological superiority. Their mission was simple: subjugate Earth, establish extraction facilities, and begin shipping resources back to their respective empires. Fleet Commander Krasix reviewed the final invasion plan from his command center aboard the dreadnought Inevitable Dominion. The holographic representation of Earth rotated slowly before him. Simultaneous descent at all designated control points, he ordered. Deploy pacification fields over major population centers. Standard compliance protocols. Demonstrate overwhelming force. Accept immediate surrenders. Neutralize organized resistance. The warships entered Earth's atmosphere in perfect formation, their advanced shields easily deflecting the primitive missiles humans launched in desperation. In New York, Beijing, Moscow, London, and dozens of other cities worldwide, massive alien vessels hovered ominously in the sky. The message was clear: resistance was futile. But humans, as it turned out, had not read the consortium's playbook. The first sign that something was amiss came when acquisition vessel AV-17 reported unexpected system failures over a city called Toronto. Communications became garbled, then ceased entirely. Similar reports quickly followed from vessels positioned over Stockholm, Johannesburg, and Sydney. "What is happening?" demanded Krasix. "These primitives cannot possibly have weapons capable of penetrating our shields. What the consortium failed to understand was that humans weren't attacking the ships, they were hacking them. Earth's nations had instantly put aside their differences when faced with an existential threat. The world's best computer scientists, working in desperate collaboration, had detected a pattern in the alien ship's communication protocols. Dr. Maya Chandra, leading a team of programmers in an underground facility beneath the Indian Institute of Technology, was the first to identify the vulnerability. Their entire fleet operates on a standardized command structure. She explained to military leaders over an emergency video conference. Different species, same operating system. Classic mistake in network security. While the aliens prepared their pacification strategies, humans were reverse engineering the very technology meant to enslave them. Within 48 hours, they had penetrated the consortium's command protocols. Within 72 hours, they had gained administrative access. On the fourth day of the invasion, Commander Krasix watched in horror as his own weapon systems turned against his fleet. All across Earth, the scene repeated itself. Alien vessels firing upon one another, shields deactivating, ships crashing to the ground or limping back into space. Impossible, he gasped as his command console locked him out. Through the viewport, he watched as his dreadnoughts escort vessels exploded one after another. In the Galactic Consortium's 10,000 years of expansion, nothing like this had ever happened. A Category 4 world was fighting back and winning. United Nations Secretary-General Elena Rodriguez stood before the emergency session of the UN General Assembly, her face resolute. Today, we have captured 73 alien vessels intact. Our scientists are already adapting their technology for our use. We have prisoners from 15 different species, and we are learning their languages, their weaknesses, and most importantly, the location of their worlds. Around the globe, teams of engineers and scientists swarmed over the captured vessels, methodically dismantling, studying, and improving upon alien technology that should have been centuries beyond human understanding. The quantum processors that powered the alien ships were being replicated in labs across Earth. The gravitational drives that allowed faster-than-light travel were being reverse-engineered by physicists who, just days earlier, had considered such technology theoretical. General Wei Zong of the newly formed Earth Defense Coalition examined the holographic star map captured from the alien flagship. They thought us primitive, so they came unprepared. Their arrogance will be their downfall. Within 6 months, the first human-piloted starships, hybrids of Earth and alien technology, left the solar system. Their mission was not conquest, but reconnaissance and defensive preparation. Humanity had learned that the galaxy was hostile, and they would not be caught unprepared again. In the grand amphitheater of the Galactic Consortium, panic had replaced the earlier complacency. News of the failed invasion spread like wildfire through the assembled representatives. How could this happen? Demanded Grand Minister Xorix. They were primitives. Arch-Surveyor Zilith had no satisfactory answer. We may have miscalculated. The humans appear to have an unprecedented ability to adapt and reverse-engineer advanced technology. High Commander Drax slammed his massive fist on the podium. Send a larger fleet. Crush them completely before they can. He was interrupted by a flashing alert on the central display. An unidentified vessel had just emerged from hyperspace directly above the consortium's capital world. It was a ship of unmistakably human design. The Reckoning. Admiral Sophia Chen watched the alien capital world through the viewport of the ESS Defiance, Earth's first star dreadnought. The ship represented a miracle of human ingenuity, built in just 6 months using adapted alien technology, then improved upon by the collective genius of Earth's brightest minds. Open a channel to their government, she ordered. Let's introduce ourselves properly this time. The face that appeared on the communication screen belonged to High Commander Drax, his reptilian features contorted with a mixture of rage and disbelief. Impossible, he hissed. You cannot have mastered interstellar travel so quickly. Admiral Chen smiled coldly. We're quick learners, especially when properly motivated by an extinction-level threat. I am here to deliver a message from the United Earth government. Your invasion has failed. Any further aggression against our world will be met with overwhelming force." As she spoke, more human ships emerged from hyperspace, 40 vessels of various sizes, each bristling with weapon systems that the consortium's own engineers would have recognized as modified and improved versions of their own designs. "This is merely a diplomatic delegation," Chen continued. "The rest of our fleet remains in the Sol system, protecting Earth. We are prepared for peace or war. The choice is yours." Back on Earth, humanity was undergoing a transformation unprecedented in its history. Old national rivalries faded in importance as people united against the common threat from the stars. Resources previously devoted to fighting each other were redirected toward defense and technological advancement. In research centers across the globe, scientists worked feverishly to understand and improve upon alien technology. The quantum computers salvaged from the invasion fleet accelerated human progress by decades with each passing month. Medical researchers used alien biotechnology to cure diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Engineers built factories that could produce materials previously unknown on Earth. Most importantly, humans began to prepare for war on a scale they had never imagined. The first space shipyards constructed in Earth orbit grew rapidly, producing vessels that combined the best of alien technology with human innovation and adaptability. General Imani Okoro, overseeing the construction from the International Space Station Alpha, addressed the United Earth Defense Council. "The aliens made a fundamental mistake in their assessment of our species. They saw our technological limitations but failed to account for our capacity to learn and adapt. More importantly, they failed to understand what happens when you back humans into a corner." In the 6 months since the failed invasion, Earth had built a fleet of over 200 warships. Thousands of smaller craft, fighters, bombers, and interceptors stood ready. Orbital defense platforms surrounded the planet, equipped with weapons that could vaporize incoming vessels before they had a chance to deploy. Earth had transformed from a vulnerable target into a bristling fortress. Meanwhile, the diplomatic delegation led by Admiral Chen negotiated from a position of unexpected strength. The Galactic Consortium, accustomed to easy victories over less advanced worlds, found itself confronting a species that refused to accept subjugation as its fate. In the Grand Amphitheater, representatives from 300 worlds argued bitterly about how to handle the human problem. Some advocated for immediate total war, committing the full strength of the consortium to crush Earth before humans could grow stronger. Others, seeing the surprising speed of human advancement, counseled caution and diplomacy. "You don't understand what we're dealing with," warned Silith, who had studied human behavior intensively since the failed invasion. "These beings unite in the face of external threats. Their history is filled with examples of technological leaps during periods of conflict. Every aggression against them will only accelerate their development." High Commander Drax was unmoved. One primitive world cannot stand against the combined might of the consortium. "We will assemble the Grand Fleet, every available warship from every member species. We will obliterate their defenses and sterilize their world as an example to others who might consider resistance." The vote narrowly favored Drax's approach. The consortium began assembling the largest military force in its history, over 5,000 warships, gathering in deep space beyond Earth's detection capabilities. But humans had not been idle. The quantum communication systems recovered from the invasion fleet had been replicated and improved. Earth now had eyes and ears throughout consortium space, spies hidden in plain sight, monitoring the buildup of the alien armada. Dr. Marcus Williams, head of Earth's Xenointelligence Division, presented his findings to the Defense Council. "They're planning a massive assault, concentrating their forces in the Proxima Centauri system. They intend to overwhelm our defenses through sheer numbers." General Okoro nodded grimly. "Then we won't be there." The human strategy took shape, not to meet the consortium's overwhelming force head-on, but to strike at its undefended heart while its military might was concentrated elsewhere. When the Grand Fleet of the Galactic Consortium arrived at the Sol system, they found Earth's orbital defenses seemingly undermanned. The massive alien armada pressed their apparent advantage, pushing toward the blue planet with confidence in their overwhelming superiority. High Commander Drax, leading from his flagship, Eternal Conquest, felt a surge of satisfaction as the human defenses crumbled before the Consortium's advance. These primitives learned quickly, but not quickly enough. Today we re-establish the natural order. His satisfaction turned to confusion when the human ships began to withdraw rather than fight to the last. They're abandoning their homeworld. Impossible. Humans are notoriously territorial. Only when the hyperspace signatures were detected did Drax understand the trap. While the Consortium concentrated its forces at Earth, the main human fleet had slipped away to strike at the now defenseless Consortium capital worlds. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiance as it emerged from hyperspace above Cerelia, the administrative center of the Galactic Consortium. 300 human warships surrounded the planet, a fraction of the Consortium's total might, but more than enough to hold the capital hostage. "Open a channel to their government," she ordered. "Wide broadcast to all Consortium worlds." Her message was short and to the point. "This is Admiral Sophia Chen of the United Earth Fleet. Your military forces are currently engaged in our home system, leaving your core worlds defenseless. We have the capability to reduce your capital to ash. But unlike you, we do not wage war against civilian populations. Return your fleet to Consortium space immediately and prepare to negotiate terms of peace or face the consequences of your aggression." Across Consortium space, the message played on every communication channel. On thousands of worlds, beings of hundreds of species watched as humans, primitives who should have been easily conquered, dictated terms to the greatest power in the galaxy. The Grand Fleet received the transmission as they prepared for their final assault on Earth. High Commander Drax roared in fury, but even he could not ignore the strategic reality. The Consortium's leadership, economy, and central infrastructure lay exposed to human retribution. If they destroyed Earth, they would return to find their own civilization in ruins. 3 days later, representatives of the Galactic Consortium met with human diplomats aboard the neutral station Harmony, hastily constructed in deep space for this purpose. The human delegation, led by Dr. Elena Rodriguez, now Secretary General of the United Earth Government, presented their terms. Earth will be recognized as a sovereign and independent world with full rights. The category system for classifying worlds will be abolished immediately. All currently subjugated species will be granted independence and reparations. A new interstellar council will be established where all species, regardless of technological development, have equal representation. Grand Minister Xorix's bioluminescent patterns flashed with indignation. These terms would destroy the very foundation of the Consortium. Thousands of years of established order cannot be overturned at the demand of a single world. Secretary General Rodriguez remained impassive. The established order was built on exploitation and injustice. It ends today. Humanity will not take the place of the Consortium as conquerors. We offer partnership instead of subjugation. But make no mistake, we will not be enslaved, and we will not stand by while others suffer the fate you planned for us. The negotiations lasted weeks, but the outcome was never truly in doubt. The Consortium, faced with the technological ingenuity and strategic brilliance of humanity, had no choice but to accept a new reality. 1 year after the attempted invasion of Earth, representatives from 500 worlds, including formerly subjugated species newly granted independence, gathered in the newly constructed Hall of Unity in Geneva. The Interstellar Council, founded on principles of mutual respect and cooperation, held its inaugural session. Admiral Chen, now serving as Earth's first security counselor, stood beside former enemies and new allies. "We came to the stars late," she addressed the assembly, "but we bring with us lessons hard-learned through our own troubled history. The strong need not exploit the weak. Different does not mean inferior. Unity is not uniformity." As she spoke, Earth's defense fleet patrolled the solar system, not just protecting humanity, but standing as a guarantee that the old ways of conquest and subjugation would not return. Beyond Sol, joint human-alien exploration vessels ventured into uncharted regions of the galaxy, seeking knowledge rather than resources to exploit. The species that had voted to enslave Earth now found themselves bound to it by new ties of trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense. Many still feared humans and their unsettling capacity for rapid adaptation, but increasingly that fear was tempered with respect. In the archives of the former consortium, arch-historian Zilith, once arch-surveyor, made a final entry in the record of first contact with Earth. Perhaps the greatest miscalculation in our history was not underestimating human technology, but failing to understand their nature. When threatened, they do not cower, they innovate. When attacked, they do not surrender, they unite. And when victorious, they did what no species in our records has ever done. They offered justice instead of vengeance. The galaxy will never be the same.